Hi, Ashley Cantor here. I'm currently composing the soundtrack to a Game Boy game called The Curse of the Mantle by Asatiir's Tales. The link is in the description below if you want to check out their YouTube channel. And I'd like to take you through the process of making one of those tracks today. So without further ado, let's get into it. I like to start by sketching my compositions out in notation. So here we are in Dorico, my preferred application of choice for notation. And I've started this piece which is inspired by Baroque counterpoint, most notably the counterpoint of Bach. And so it starts with two independent melodies going on at the same time. And then the next section, which is an elaboration of the first, adds a third part. So I'll play you the development of the first section now, and then we'll talk about the things that I will typically do when sketching out a new section of music. So you can hear from the ending of that section that I've set up a modulation to B flat minor. So what I want to do with this new section is to start in B flat minor and be able to modulate back to F minor, which is the starting key of the composition. I'm aiming for a length of about 2 minutes with this piece of music, so I've put in 8 bars of space here, but I may end up needing more bars, so this is just a starting point for now. One thing I like to do when I'm sketching a new section of music, especially something with a modulation, is to block out my harmonies using whole notes. This will give me a map of where the chords are going, so that when I fill in any details or melodies later on, I won't lose my way and forget what I originally intended the section to sound like. So I'm now going to have a go at mapping out this section using whole notes, and I'll see where it takes me. Okay, so I think I've got something that I like. I kept it simple, keeping to the circle of fifths, well, mostly, although I have put a couple of twists in there just to keep things interesting and to not try and imitate Bach completely. I did want to put my own sort of spin on things. I did end up lengthening the section to 16 bars instead of 8 bars, as I felt it flowed better. One of the reasons why I haven't used more notes in my chords is because the Game Boy can only handle 3 melodic channels at once, as well as 1 noise channel, which is usually used for percussion. So you'll see I've deliberately kept myself to only 3 notes here, and I've tried to make the chords as full as possible. I'm trying to make the music as detailed as I possibly can while sticking within the limitations of the system. Okay, so 2 problems I see with this first version of what I've written is that one is that the harmonies move a bit too slowly. I'd like to have some chord changes that move a little faster. Additionally, since the tempo is quite slow, 76 beats per minute, this would bring down the energy level of the piece, and I do want it to move a little bit quicker in terms of harmonic pace, just to keep the energy level from the contrapuntal section going, even though this particular section is not going to be contrapuntal in nature. The second issue I see is that the emotion is not quite there for me. I feel like the circular fist progression is good, but it hits on some emotional notes that I don't want to portray in this particular section of the piece. I feel like some of the chords, most notably the A flat major chord going into the D flat major chord, give too much of a resolution kind of vibe, and they don't give me the sort of slightly dissonant, uneasy feel that I want to portray here. So this will be something that I rework in my second version, and once I figure that out, I'll be back to show you what I did. So here we are with the second version of what I've done, and you can immediately see that it moves a bit faster. We've now got half notes instead of whole notes. I'm also still working on the harmonic sketch here, so I haven't filled in any details or added any melodies yet. This is primarily just working on the chord progression to make sure that the section moves in the way I want it to move. So let's have a listen to this new version of the section. I'm liking this version of the section a lot better than the previous one, and I think I've accomplished all of my goals for changing the harmonic pace as well as bringing a bit more dissonance into the section. So now what I'm going to do to develop this section is add some rhythm to the bass line, as well as try to turn the inner part into an accompaniment figure so that I can then take the top line and turn it into some sort of melody that will give us a smooth progression back into the beginning of the piece so that the piece can seamlessly loop. Okay, so you can see that I've provided a simple 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and rhythm to the bass line. This was done to imitate what a cello or double bass would do. I also decided to turn the inner part, which was one of the notes of our chord, into a full Alberti bass figure instead. One of the advantages of doing this, especially when considering the Game Boy's limited sound hardware, is that with an Alberti bass that is a linear pattern, it only ever plays one note at a time. I can actually use all three notes of a chord. This will allow me to not only use a full chord in my accompaniment, but also have a melody on top, because I'm still only accessing 2 of the 3 melodic channels available on the Game Boy, which means that this section will sound very full and rich with these 2 things going on at the same time. So let's have a listen to what I've got now, and then I'll write a melody to go over the top of this. Okay, so I've got something that I like, but in the process of getting something that I liked, I had to change my original plan for the Alberti bass in order to make the melody fit with it. So let's have a listen to this and see how it sounds. All that's left now is to put that section into GB Studio and see how it will sound with the Game Boy's synthesized instruments. But that will have to wait for another video. So that's it for now. Thanks for watching, and if you like this video, please leave a like and comment below about what you liked about it. And if you want to see more of this content in future, please subscribe to my channel. See you next time.